So, how else can you take and protect yourself when bad actors are out there to trick you? Well, number one, buy time, like Ann said, and freeze your credit, also known as a security freeze. But know this, when you freeze your credit, you have to do it for all three, for Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. It's not sufficient just for one. Here's a QR code, but also we have a PDF for your reference. Next, create a speed bump. Provide trusted contacts to your financial institution. Again, a speed bump. And again, we have another PDF for you. Next, report immediately. Demonstrate that you recognize what has happened and can protect yourself. And know this, North Carolina does have a duty to report law. So what does that mean? Well, first, a lot of people know that financial institutions, bankers, that if they notice something, they need to take and report it and kind of put a flag on the account. But did you know that in North Carolina, that any person who expects who thinks that either a disabled person or an older adult is being financially exploited, that they have a duty to report to their local county DSS, Department of Social Services. And if you want to know more, then know the Division of Aging and Adult Services houses the Adult Protective Services, and you're more than welcome to look on our website for more information. Next, reporting immediately creates a possibility of stopping or reversing it. And it also reveals the true extent of the crimes, increasing societal priority for fighting them. And to the right, you'll see that we have a QR code to the National Elder Fraud Hotline. And also we have a QR code to AARP's Fraud Watch Network. So let's talk about a power of attorney, which is one way of many to protect yourself. It's a legal document which permits you to determine who is in control of your financial affairs. And it's just one way of many to safeguard yourself. It's guided by North Carolina General Statute 32C. You pick one agent to speak for you. And know this, if there's no power of attorney, then you will get a guardianship. So, Anne, like I mentioned, you pick one agent to speak for you. What do you think about that?
Well, naming more than one agent can have complications, and you've seen that play out in your own private practice. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so previously I was a private practice attorney for elder care, and know this, the left hand and the right hand, they don't always agree. Or what you'll have is two adult children who think they're genuinely doing what's right by mom or dad, but they just disagree with stuff. Next, know this, pick alternate agents. And then what about this? Most agents that you list in a financial power of attorney, which financial power of attorney, durable power of attorney, general power of attorney, they're used in typically the same context. Just know that durable means that it is past your point of incompetence, meaning it still continues. But willful misconduct, they can be removed for intentional wrongdoing. Gross negligence, meaning that they are negligent, but to the point that a reasonable person would not be that negligent, they can also be removed. And the effective date for these documents, well, it can be immediate or it can be springing. And for springing, that means at a later time. Typically, it's when two doctors deem that you're incompetent to manage your financial affairs. It can be for a limited time, 5 years, or even maybe you're traveling. And it can be for a specific purpose, like for real estate only. So let's compare that, or let's talk about that if there is no durable financial power of attorney and what happens. Here's the priorities of appointment. First is an individual recommended under North Carolina General Statute 35A 1212.1. And what does that really mean? Well, it's a will recommendation essentially. It's very typical with minors. So someone recommends someone else to be in charge of their child, 18 and under. Next is an individual who applies to serve. Maybe that's your friend, your acquaintance, maybe your coworker, your past coworker, right? Or just the guy who lives in Unit 13C down the hall. I don't know about you, but I personally probably would not even want a friend of mine to manage my own affairs as far as finances. Third would be a corporation. And then fourth could be a disinterested public agent, typically known as a county Department of Social Services worker or a county government employee. If you don't have a financial power of attorney, then know that guardianships would be your option and basically your only choice. They're public. They can be paperwork heavy. They're costly. Just to initiate one is $120. They have to satisfy court and legal requirements on a continual basis. Another benefit is the powers of attorney, you get to choose the people who are in control. Not me, not Tom, not Ann, you. And to a certain degree, you get to direct how your affairs, your financial affairs, would be managed.
Contrast that to the situation where you haven't specified and you end up with a guardianship, a guardian who is chosen for you because at that time you lack capacity.
And here's the most important thing. Never, ever wait. Because everyone with a guardianship, they thought they would have time, but they did not.
So let's talk about where you can find a financial power of attorney. Well, you can go to the North Carolina State Employees Credit Union or your financial institution and ask them if they do have a program like the credit union's estate planning essentials program. There's also private attorneys. Yes, you know that. Or have you thought of law school clinics? Legal Aid of North Carolina has a whole division that works with the elderly. Now, if you have a complicated estate, don't expect them to help you out there. Misty can talk more about that. But the bottom line is you're not going to get the form itself from these individuals and entities. What you're going to get is legal guidance to fill it out. And you can, however, find the form online, but beware. The statutory form is in the QR code, but there's more to that than meets the eye. Misty?
Yeah. So first, know this. The statutory general power of attorney is a little hard to locate. And the reason is because of attorneys. Yes, attorneys. Think about this. There's not a lot of exploitation with a healthcare power of attorney, but there could be a lot for financial. So attorneys have tried to make this where you can't copy and paste it all over the internet. But even so, there's a lot of variations, so be careful. And with the statutory power of attorney, it's read in conjunction with North Carolina General Statute 32C. I'm betting that you may have found the statutory form, right? But you did not take and read the actual statutes that go and collaborate with it. So if, for example, if you initial by the gifting power, what you're actually saying is you want the gifting power as it relates to that statute that is applicable in 32C. And for that, what gifting means is it's not like gifting, for example, a present to one of your family members. It's actually gifting for either government assistance, a sum of cash, or for tax reasons on an annual basis, a certain sum of monies. A lot of people probably don't know that, right? So again, it is important to get a well-drafted financial power of attorney and potentially seek out the help of a professional person. The other thing is digital currency. To be honest, I don't know if the statutory form even addresses it. It's so new, digital currency, that there's no case law on it that I'm aware of that says this is exactly how it would be handled. So be aware of that and do make sure that your document addresses digital currency. Next, caution, 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 caution. Use reliable North Carolina resources. Don't just Google it, make sure it's state specific. And you don't know what you don't know, right? And make sure that there's a comprehensive plan tailored to your individual circumstances. What I need versus what Ann needs are totally different.
All right, we're going to speed up since we want to get through this and give you time to ask questions, but we do want to make you aware that it's absolutely critical that others know where your documents are and can access them because they're going to have to in order to be able to act on your behalf. So consider recording, that is filing your power of attorney and providing it to your financial professionals. Safe deposit boxes in other places, hiding places may be convenient, but not necessarily. Safe deposit boxes are at banks and they're not open except certain daylight hours typically. And here's the thing too, you know, if there's a need for access, are they going to be able to access it without the very document that's safely hidden in the safe deposit box? Consider filing it with the Register of Deeds that is in your county of residence, making it accessible and shareable. Misty?
And note this, yeah, if no one can locate your powers of attorney, then that means you will need a guardianship, okay? So recording a general power of attorney, in a nutshell, it's a $26 fee to the Register of Deeds. If you record, you'll have to unrecord to get a new one, so that's 52, 26 times 2, and it's public record. Do what is in your best interest. Know this, if the document gets lost and it wasn't recorded, then you get a guardianship. So it's probably in your best interest to record this document. Not always, perhaps you're moving. But also know this, if it's not recorded, a bank or financial institution, they're less likely to take it. How do they know that it's official? If they see that it's recorded, they see the Register of Deeds stamp on the front page. And a financial entity can request that it be recorded.
Now, it's not enough just to have the documents and to record them. Discussion of choices is critical. First of all, you got to make sure that the person that you have chosen is able and willing to fill the role. And consider when you're doing so, how do they manage their own affairs? Are they good at it? Consider this handout, it's among those that you've gotten. Considering a financial caregiver, know your options. Go to the second page, or the third page actually. It says choosing a financial caregiver and has critical questions to ask yourself and the individual to help you identify who is right. It prepares the person to perform the role. If they are having to find out cold when something happens, their ability to actually do what you want them to do is at risk. And consider, having these discussions ahead of time really avoids a lot of excess stress. There's already stress going on when these things are needed. So if you truly don't want to be a burden on others, this is a way to minimize that burden. And also it prepares others to accept the choices that you have made.
So here's something you need to know. This is not a once and done thing. Just like you look at your insurance or maybe what phone provider you have on an annual basis, check your documents. As we've talked about, digital currency is always changing. So law, technology, science, they're going to change. Maybe your views, wishes, and goals are going to change. And then here's a long list of circumstances that may cause you to want to change your document. And know this list is not exhaustive. There could be a ton of other reasons why you may need to update your financial power of attorney. And remember this, if you don't have capacity, meaning that perhaps you have no longer the ability to manage your own financial affairs and you're trying to take and get a financial power of attorney, you cannot legally sign a power of attorney. This would cause actually an attorney to lose their license, and there is a lot of repercussions for an attorney if they do so. So now is the time to act. And don't you have a little bit more to say about that though?
Well, what I do have to say is that it is so important to seize this chance, seize it, to put guardrails in place while you still can. We all are busy and we think that our future self will have more time than our current self. But literally, as Misty pointed out, that may not be the case. But in this era, where we're getting pinged on our phones, on our computers, in the mail, on the television, where we're getting probes all the time by bad actors, the fact of the matter is that the future is now. The future is now, and our risk is here. So with our ever more frequent exposure to pervasive, persuasive, and ever more persistent pitches, we've got to have action. And Misty, here's the thing that you just tapped, and that is, there's nothing like deciding, taking an action, and then suddenly you hear things that you didn't before related to your choices. So seize this chance.
And here's our contact information, including our email addresses. And before we answer questions, I see one question that Pam asked in the chat box. I think Anne's going to mention one additional thing. Anne?
Yeah, I do. Before we go into questions, there's a natural instinct to ask about our personal circumstances. And please be aware that Misty and I are providing general information. We wanted to raise awareness about issues that are kind of hidden or in small print or fast talk. And so we cannot give legal or financial advice. We're giving you general information and are happy to follow up on your questions about that.